Good morning. This is Francis Mahan on Sunday morning, the author of the bestseller, A Journey into the Mind. Consciousness is my debatable topic for the day. What is consciousness? Consciousness is the ability to perceive our sensory perception and information through the five senses, to be aware, to be in the moment, to be conscious of surrounding people, the cosmos, and everything around us. It is been said that consciousness is our ability to communicate with something that is not necessarily of the brain and the mind, because it is being debated by scientists and neuroscience that the mind and the brain are not capable of processing consciousness by themselves, that perhaps consciousness is outside the mind and the brain. But consciousness is universal, infinite, and eternal energy from the cosmos. Dr. Pelletier say that the consciousness may not be attributed to the unique process of the human brain. In other words, the brain and the mind are not capable of processing consciousness by themselves. And I totally agree. Because when we speak of the five senses, or six or seven if we have, or perhaps having the ability to communicate with someone at a distance, are we using more than the common senses that we know and perceive to be the five senses of the mind? Yes, we are. And when we speak about higher state of consciousness, the level at which the brain and the mind perceive information from outside sources and is able to process and to determine events and causes of the future, then we are speaking about something that is totally not of the mind and the brain. For example, to be psychic or to be at a higher state of consciousness, where someone is conscious of consciousness and is able to process information outside the realms of what we consider to be the norm. For example, if someone is able to predict something that is going to happen in the future, or is capable of coming up with an idea or anything or event of the past, present, and future, where does that come from? The mind does not go back into the subconscious level and try to understand something to try to process it today, unless we are trying to deal with memory recording, which is a totally different aspect of the mind. It is been said that consciousness has a high state and a lower state. At a higher state of consciousness, which is consciousness of consciousness, is where we achieve through awareness, perception, engaging in immediate awareness of the mind or the present. To be unconscious, on the other hand, is not to be mentally conscious of your awareness in the present. To witness consciousness is being aware. And also it is being aware and observing and being conscious, or recognizing and becoming the center of that awareness. Lower level of consciousness, on the other side, is considered to be a type of consciousness where we focus on our feelings, our emotions, our psychosexual stages, and our self-center as an individual, where behavior and motivation, desires and impulses are focused upon. It has been said that the mind at a fundamental level is not capable, nor is the brain, of processing consciousness without something outside of it that helps the mind perceive this state of all-time high energy of cosmic and universal perception of who we have become. It has been said that the cosmos created consciousness, and therefore the cosmos created us and created the universe. There is no doubt in my mind that consciousness can be transmuted from one mind to the next, from the cosmos to us, and to become the power for which we concentrate in order to become consciously aware. In other words, what is consciousness? Are we presently conscious all the time? Or are we sometimes unconscious of our behavior at a lower level of consciousness? Perhaps. But the more we concentrate on what the mind is capable of, what the mind can process, perceive, understand, be aware, listen, and even conjure in the process of learning is beyond our understanding. With consciousness, we can perceive higher level of energy in our brain, in our hearts, and then transmit with our mind information, perception, ideas, and concise future details of things that are yet to happen. For example, how is it that one person picks up an individual to communicate at a distance? Is this person chosen by us? Is it chosen by an altered state of consciousness? Or is it perhaps chosen by the universe? By the universe field of energy, the field of our energy that recognizes the ability of one's mind to perceive, to give, to relate, to transmit, and transmute information at a higher level of consciousness with the 5, 6, or even 7 senses. Yes, because once we go outside the level of consciousness and begin to perceive information, to see visually, even with our eyes closed, we are known to have a higher level of senses or sensory perception than the average person. Sometimes we refer to these people as clairvoyant, as psychic, or simply individuals who have a higher level of consciousness and are able to communicate with the cosmos, with God, with the energy field of the universe, or something greater than themselves. Are they chosen? Are they the lucky one? Or are they simply living their life purpose in this universe to communicate with the rest of us, human beings, and make this world a better place to live? I think that the great Buddha could have explained that better than I have, because in his meditations, the level of consciousness and the communication with the cosmos and other spirits and even with the self allow him to see and understand things beyond the common understanding of human mind. And this is where consciousness comes from. Consciousness comes from a higher level of perception, of communication, of the cosmos, of the infinite, of universal unity with the mind, with the brain, the mind, the soul, the spirit in our heart. In order to perceive information, in order to communicate at a higher level of intelligence or cognitive intelligence, we have to be coherent, as if you're driving on a straight line or you're landing an airplane on a strip and you have to follow the center lane to be able to land on the runway. My friends, consciousness is above the understanding of human nature. Consciousness is higher than the five senses we recognize as being the senses through which we perceive and understand a higher level of communication with the cosmos, with the universe, with infinite, with the spirit, and even with God. I thank you for listening. I wish you and everyone a wonderful weekend. This is Francis Mahan once again from a bestseller, A Journey into the Mind. Thank you for listening. It's been a pleasure. Goodbye. Love and kisses.